Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Ruwell. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect, new in his gospel, broad lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is the Aki Mahaloya coming back with another lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. Just a quick exhortation. For brothers, man, including myself, when dealing with new fruit or new flock or within your videos, you want to make sure when you're teaching in your videos that you're putting a balance to what you're saying. Okay, oftentimes, when you've been in this thing, you kind of get accustomed to a particular method or a custom style of teaching. And, oftentimes, we bring out the precepts or we bring out the point we're making and we don't really clarify all the time the balance of certain things. Like we had a brother that came up to the camp this weekend, and I know he was telling me that he was watching a few videos and trying to get built up because he didn't really understand the high holy days and certain days, and he came across a particular video. And not that the brother did anything wrong that did the video, but when we are accustomed to teaching, you want to give the new followers hope, man, okay? Because, hey, that's what we're set up to give our people hope through Yahweh Shai, okay? So you want to be in a spirit of balance and not just completely shutting the door as far as on people on how they view the truth, so to speak, because the brother basically said he came across a video basically going into the Day of Atonement. If you didn't keep the Day of Atonement, then basically the Lord is not just dealing with you, period. And, I mean, that we understand the concept of that, but you still have to remember that younger men are watching you too that may have just been coming into this thing. You see what I'm saying? So you have to you got to qualify, like Apostle Rama said, you got to qualify what you're saying, okay? Because you can destroy somebody's faith when you just give them the dark grandma. You didn't keep the Day of Atonement, you're going to die. Like, nah, bro. Okay, you don't want to push that on new people because for the simple fact that could discourage them and they can just say, you know what, well, I'm through anyway. There's no point in me fighting. You can literally destroy somebody's faith like that. Okay, and we're not saying that brothers that said that have any ill dealing, but you have to remember the mercy of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai too. It's not just always condemnation. You're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. It's not always condemnation. You have to, it's just like fishing. And brothers that are fishermen are also good teachers because they can adapt to certain styles. They know how to catch the big fish, the small fish, the poisonous fish, and they know how to use certain bait. So this truth is all about bait and using the proper bait to catch the right fish. Now, sure, you're going to catch bad fish in the web, that's going to get weeded out eventually. You may be trout fishing and you may have 2 or 3 catfish, or you may get 6, 7 catfish with 2 trouts, and you got to get rid of the catfish and keep the trout. But it's all about the bait you're using. So, with the Day of Atonement thing, make sure when you're going into like certain high holy days or just period, make sure you have a balance. Make sure you exemplify mercy. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord said, well, look, man, if you're praying for mercy or you judging, pray that the Most High have mercy as well. Roughly paraphrasing it, man. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get that because I don't want to butcher it. All right, I'm gonna look up mercy because there's a lot of scriptures that goes into mercy. I'm gonna just type in judgment and mercy. That way we can kind of get a consensus on what's being said. All right, so let me try to find it. Hosea 12:6, which is a good one. But let me find it real quick. Yep. This is not the one I'm looking for, but it goes into one like when you're going through hell, when you catch it, when you're judging, expect mercy. But anyway, I'm going to just get this one real quick. This is the book of Sirach 18:14. It says, he have mercy on them that receive a discipline and that diligently seek out of his judgments. But before judgment, examine thyself. And I think this is it. And in a day of vegetation, thou shalt find mercy. Con. Okay, so, just to say that, of course, we have to examine ourselves. But even then, when you're putting out, certain videos and, like if you didn't keep the Passover, you're going to die. Nah, well, you got to understand in the scriptures, even if you missed that first Passover, I believe the scriptures give you like like another month after that Passover to partake in a feast, because our power, he's a merciful power. So have to be very careful when you having young followers. Remember, we have all walks of life listening to us, men that's been in the truth. And right now we're gonna have a lot of new people that haven't heard the truth to the degree of what we push, and they may hear something and it can turn them off. You don't want to do that. Prime example with the Day of Atonement thing. You don't want them to be in the mindset, oh, I didn't keep the atonement. Now the Lord is not dealing with me. Okay? Though you're supposed to extol that healthy amount of fear of them. Okay, they're supposed to have a healthy amount of fear to know, well, you're supposed to keep it or you could be judged. Definitely that. But when they're new and they haven't done it before, you just, you want to keep them in good hope that, okay, maybe the Lord can have mercy on them, instead of completely just saying, well, you didn't do it, you're going to die. Because the brother said it. He said, man, when I heard that, he said, man, I thought I was through. But, he said, I kept praying and X, Y, and Z, and I kept my faith. So luckily his faith was grounded enough to him to not get thrown off by that. But overall, man, when we're teaching, remember to put the balance to it too, because we're dealing with a lot of young brothers in this thing, man, that's going to come into this thing and they going to ask questions. So make sure that we on point with that, because you don't want to be like the scribes and Pharisees when it says here, this is the book of Matthew 23, and I'm going to start at verses 13. It says, but woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Right? Because these men, they push the law. They push to do impossible tasks when them themselves couldn't even do it. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole point, like when you go in Acts 15, it goes into basically how they was pushing a law on the Gentiles, but yet we couldn't even keep the full extent of the law, statutes, and commandments. So why would you bound a newborn? But that's like if you go to the gym and you can barely push 250 or 275 on the rack, and then you got this new guy that came in, he never lifted weights a day in his life, but yeah, you get mad at him because he can't bench 275. It's like, dude, you can barely bench this shit. How you gonna get mad at somebody that never did it before? You see? So we have to be very, very careful, man, because you got groups out here that do that. Oh, well, brother, you ain't got no fringes on, so you can't, the Lord ain't dealing with you. Like, where's that in the scriptures? You know what I'm saying? Where's in the script? Niggas got fringes on the condoms. you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, you have to be careful on what vibration you're pushing, because you don't want to ultimately offend the little ones. We know what the scripture said about the little ones being offended. All right, this is the book of Matthew 18. And I'm going to start at verses 6. It says here, but whosoever should offend, matter of fact, let's start at verses 5. It says, and whosoever should receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whosoever should offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Okay, so you don't want to offend them. You want to be careful not to offend any brother or sister in this thing. You know what I'm saying? And also, brothers, man, mannerisms, man. Mannerisms, professionalism. You know what I'm saying? You've been in this thing 8 years or more. Hey, man, I don't give a damn where you come from. You come from Chicago, man. Show some decency about your character, man. You know what I'm saying? When you speak with brothers, speak to brothers like, in top regard, man. You know what I'm saying? Always, keep a humble approach and make sure you're in the respectful spirit towards brothers, period. I don't give a damn how long you've been knowing them. And yeah, we got brothers we talk shit to. But sometimes you can feel almost a spirit of dissension or contention among the body sometimes. And it will happen because we're men. You know what I'm saying? But certain times we don't know what we do. Sometimes we just be all in la la land. Sometimes we get too high and mighty. You know what I'm saying? That we start thinking too highly of ourselves. And then before you know it, you feel like you would just, you could just say what you want to say to this brother. And certain brothers are cool with it. Like I said, I got brothers particularly close in this thing I talk shit to. You know what I'm saying? And then it ain't like, nothing personal or nothing like that. They know. But overall, man, even when I'm approaching them, it's always, Shalom, brother Yahweh, Shemel Shai Brakatah. It's always something, to break the ice. I don't just go up to him and say, man, what you doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? I'll try to approach the man with some type of respect before I go into all that. But I don't know, it could just be me, you know what I'm saying? how I was up, how I was brought up. Not trying to say all brothers need to be like that, but it just, what I feel is it's a necessity for my spirit, what works for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, been around a brother for 8 years and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm to the point, if I come over his crib, I ain't just gonna pop up. I'm gonna call him like, look, bro, I'm gonna be on my way there. Then when I get up in the crib, usually, make yourself at home, whatever you need, get it. Get you some water, whatever. But even then, sometimes I try to make it effort. Hey, brother, you got some water? Can I get some water? And then, after he cleared, then, we go in the refrigerator doing what we do, but overall, man, it's about, mannerisms, man, professionalism, because, hey, having a good rapport with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you have to have nobility in this thing, man. We're noble men. We're not men off the streets no more. Okay. But anyway, real quick, this is the book of Acts 15. And I'm going to start at verses 1. It says, and certain men came down from Judea and taught the brethren and said, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. See, that's already just shutting the door. It's like, oh, well, shit, what can I do? To the point, you get discouraged. You see what I'm saying? So it was a counsel about that. And it says, and where therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the disciples and the elders about this question. So they had to seek a higher office because, they would know how to deal with it. It says, and being brought on their way by the church, they passed through Phoenix and Samaria, declaring the conversation or the conversion of the Gentiles, and they caused great joy to all the brethren. And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and the elders, and they declared all things that Yahweh had done with them. But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to commend them to keep them in the law of Moses. So it says commend them. Okay, so they wasn't necessarily wrong as far as telling them the customs, because in their mindset, well, we're Israelites, we should be doing this. But you have to understand that these Israelites, they were born in lands and they were not brought up under the knowledge and wisdom of our Lord. You see, so they had to learn it just like all of us. We didn't come in this thing keeping Passover perfect. We didn't come in this thing keeping a Shabbat perfect. We didn't come in this thing doing that, It was over a process of time, and as you grow in this thing, you learn. Then you start to exemplify those particular examples that's laid out in the scriptures. So brothers, be very, very careful. Always consider when you are doing videos, you have a new audience. Be careful on how you, and it's not the fact that brother said anything wrong. It's just you have to be careful on how you put in things. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest, man, new men, they're very fragile. You know what I'm saying? And most people that come into the wisdom and knowledge, 9 times out of 10, they've heard a lot of bad shit about being an Israelite. They've heard more probably negatively than good. But, the Spirit had them to come on board because for the simple fact, they know this is the truth. But most people that come into groups like this that's strictly tight-knitted, most people have their speculations about it. I'm not going to lie. I had my speculations about it. You know what I'm saying? When I ran into the brothers in Chicago, I didn't trust them. I didn't know. I'm like, I don't even know these dudes. I'm like, because in your mind, because you've been so, you've been so punch drunk by all the negative shit in the world. People say, oh, well, anything that's biblical based is a cult. Not realizing the shit that you were part of in the Christian church was a cult. Highly demonic. But when you see men that's actually like this disciplined and they look different, they got a different aura about them, you kind of leery. I ain't gonna lie, when I met Yakia and Uriah on the train, I didn't trust them for shit. I'm like, here we, and they was speaking truth, but I'm like, here we go, a bunch of fast talking niggas. I'm like, man, here we go. Like, what else is new? But when I was dealing with them, it made a lot of sense. I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that do make sense. And then they was breaking it down in the precepts and I, just showing it to me, and it instantly resonated with me. But me, I had to get my shit together, So I was just like, all right, bro, it sounds good, but I still don't know it. I don't really know if I'm ready to commit to that, because I feel like too obligated. I mean, I felt overly pressured, and it's not that they were pressuring me about anything. They wasn't pressuring me at all, but you just felt a sense of responsibility because they was throwing so much at me at one time. I'm like, I'm not ready for that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ready for it. You know what I'm saying? And they were younger men in the faith too, so we all go through those stages of growth. You know what I'm saying? Until you realize this is where you need to be. Then, you learn to balance things out. You know, it's actually it's a beautiful thing to be part of, you know. But and it says here, and there have been much disputing. Peter rose up and said unto them, Men and brethren, ye know that a good while ago Yahweh made choice among us, that the Gentiles by mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And Yahweh, which knew the hearts, bare them witness, giving them the Holy Ghost, even as he did unto us. Okay, so, you know, they had to come through the ranks like we all did. And don't get it twisted. That's not saying that all Gentiles, which are Israelites, receive this, okay? Because you still got more Jake that's not going to get it than that will get it. See, compared to what they were dealing with, the remnant, the smaller number, compared to the masses of our people, they don't care about this wisdom and understanding. Okay, and this does not give them license to sin. As Christians, we use this chapter to say, see, the only thing we got to do is believe. But see, they don't understand. When you go into the scriptures, these are outline accounts of men's lives. They're not going into when a man used the bathroom, when he had that woman, he had this child, his growth. When they don't really go into exaggerate details on every man in the Lord's life. So you have to read the scriptures with common sense and say, well, here there come a point of time that these men were living this way, and then they came and they started to live that way, and then they incorporated their walk into their lives, man, like we all did. Okay, but a Christian, they don't think that because they don't truly believe what's written in the scriptures. Okay, because I like to say that is the no accountability religion. Okay, they don't want to be held accountable for anything. They want an easy way in. I want to continue to live like a Roman while professing the Lord. No, man. If you believe in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you got to cast off the Roman ways, just like they did in the old. I mean, just like they doing now. Okay, because remember we was on the Roman territory when the New Testament was predominantly written. So it makes sense that the Romans governed the particular world at that time, and we was subjugated to the Romans. Is the reason why a lot of Jakes were keeping customs of the heathens as well. Not just of that respective empire, but different kingdoms. You see, but as they grew in the faith, they started to know the Lord, and they started to incorporate the commandments into their lives over a course of time. Okay, and like we all did. So Christians will never understand that because they don't know history, you know. But it says, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. Now, therefore, why tempt ye the Most High to put a yoke upon the necks of the disciples, neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? Right. So why would you, buckle them down with something that you couldn't even do? So like I said, you just bring balance to the teaching. When you're teaching on certain holidays or certain days of importance to new followers, let them know that, well, look, yeah, these are things we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? But hey, if you ain't partake in it because you didn't have the understanding, or you didn't understand, or you didn't know the breakdown or whatever, or you just new into this thing, make sure that those men understand that there's a such thing as mercy. I always believe in leading by example. You know what I'm saying? Do what you want other people to see and follow and do, as we supposed to be a light into the world, man. You know what I'm saying? So be careful with your new followers to let them know, look, this is the way, then this is how you do it, in X, Y, and Z. And eventually, if the Lord is dealing with them, they're going to get it. But after you told them, and then, they cast it all behind them, and they still are into all these other philosophies, even if you broke it down to them, then, hey, the Lord would judge them. But you just make sure you cover your part. You make sure you give them the balance. You give them a side A and side B. What can happen if you don't? What can happen if you do? Just so they don't feel discouraged about coming into this thing. Because the last thing you want is a new brother that believe in this thing to be discouraged. Okay, we're not here to discourage people, man. Okay, especially if they're trying. All right, but I'm gonna end it there, brothers. Giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. With that, Shalom and the Barber Ball. Shalom.